All right, everybody, welcome to the Do It Now podcast. We have Jamie Bradford in the house today. Welcome, Jamie.
Hi.
For all the people that don't know you, Jamie, how about you? Let's talk about how you and I met.
In a coffee shop. I don't know. How do you want to explain that? Like, I was just
It
sitting
is a
at
little weird, right?
a little bit.
No, so there's a local coffee shop over in Davis Island that usually frequent too. I was at the coffee shop and there was this long table and Jamie was studying. I sat at the end and I left Jamie a note because I was eavesdropping on her conversation. She was having a conversation with her guidance counselor for school.
Possibly.
And
Maybe.
I was just, listening in on the call because I was right next to her. And she's talking to her counselor, really just pretty much piling up classes for this coming up year is what it sounded like.
The ones I'm in now.
Yeah. And your guidance counselor was asked you a question. I think it was something along the lines like, why are you... she's like, are you sure? Because I think she was also like struck by the amount of work that you wanted to do. So I think she was asking you something along. I could be wrong, but something along the lines of like.
I was like doubling up. I have like 3 science classes, which when you double up in college on sciences, you usually get overwhelmed because science is a tough subject. And they usually set it up if you start from the beginning as a science major for you to just, do it one at a time, one semester at a time. You maybe only have to double up once, but yeah. So I have 3 actually this semester.
Yes.
3 science classes.
Yeah, and I think that's what she was referring to when she was talking to you, and that's when you told her that you were dealing with your illness.
Yes. I was diagnosed with cancer in January 2022.
Okay.
And I was still in treatment when I was talking to her, so she was probably like, "Why?"
January 2022. So it's been a little bit, about a year and a half.
Yeah, I had 16 months of treatment.
Okay.
So I went into remission in May.
Yes.
2023.
Okay.
Which means I was at the end of treatment and all my scans were clear. So no cancer, treatment done.
So that was just 2-3 months ago in May.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
May, yeah.
Okay. So before we really get to like the peak of the story and let's start before everything, like before you found out what life was like then. Who was Jamie?
Okay.
What was she doing? What were her goals?
Jamie was confused.
Yes.
Jamie had no idea what to do with anything, and it really made her upset. So I graduated from high school in 2019 with quite a bit of college credits. So I knew I wanted to go to college. I got into Florida State and went to Florida State right away. I spent about a year at Florida State where I got my associate's degree, which is typically a 2-year degree. So I got it within a year. And at that point,
very fast.
Most kids do that. Some kids don't. It just depends.
Yeah.
But yes, faster than what's like allotted.
The typical.
Yeah.
Sure.
So then COVID hit, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't really know what to do. I don't like this business major. It doesn't make sense. Like for some people it makes sense. For me, I was like struck. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this when I'm done.
Did you go? Sorry to interrupt. Did you go into college? So you were pursuing a business major.
Yeah, I was a marketing major.
Okay, so was that something that like you just kind of were like, I want to, just kind of like a random choice, or was it something that you saw yourself pursuing?
No, I grew up in motocross. So my brother grew up racing dirt bikes, and I was right there with him at every race. And marketing is pretty much the only thing you have to do. I mean, he markets as a rider, and every industry markets. Marketing was a big part of that, and social media has become an even bigger part of that. And that was my thought process. I wanted to stay a part of the sports. I wanted to be involved in all that. And I did. I worked with a couple of his sponsors and worked through a couple just races where they were marketing, and I hated it.
No.
I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this ever.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is either in-person marketing, which I did not like, which is the stuff I did, or you're on a computer.
Okay.
And for me, I was like itching. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to leave. Like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
So that's when COVID hit, and I kind of had already decided, but I moved to Breckenridge, Colorado, where I was like, I'm just going to take a year.
You moved with family?
No, I moved by myself.
Okay, so this is 2020.
Yes, yeah.
After
This
COVID
is
hit, you
right as COVID
okay.
hit. So I was working through COVID because
Okay.
it's internet. Yeah, I was working through COVID in Breckenridge, Colorado. It was kind of more like a, I don't know what to do. Let's go have some fun. And I was paying for my own stuff, which I wasn't doing in college. I'm thankful my mom pays for my
Right.
stuff through school.
Sure.
So, but when I'm not in school, she was like, nope. Like, you're not taking classes. You're going to have to do it on your own. So I figured out what life was like. And I realized that, one, I didn't want to work 2 jobs my whole life.
Yeah.
I had a, fully funded degree sitting at home because I have scholarships. And that degree would get me a better paying job. So I was like, okay, I loved this. I love snowboarding. I know I love Colorado, but it's time to go home. So I went home. Started back at FSU, was there for a semester, and was instantly still in that marketing degree and still confused. Still,
and this
like,
is 2020, 2021.
this
And
is
you're
the
how old at this
fall
time?
of 2021. I had just turned 21
Okay.
at the beginning of that semester.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so I was still itching. I called my dad one day. I was like, maybe I should be a nurse. Like, I don't know what I should do. At least I'd know I'd have a job. And he was like, do whatever you want. My parents were very much like, you'll figure it out. Like,
Right.
you got it.
Right.
They were never going to tell me what to do. They were like,
Sure.
whatever you choose is your path. And I finished that semester in that marketing degree and was still a little confused, but I had a lot going on in that semester to the point where it was like, okay, you decide like over the Christmas break or you don't. Well, over that Christmas break, I also had to get a CT scan, an MRI. I went on 2 vacations. I went to Colorado and I went to North Carolina. So in all of that, I ended up going back to FSU for the next semester with intentions of still being a marketing degree, really. And they called me while I was walking out of the gym. And they're like, you need to get to a hospital. Like, your scan was not clear. Like, you're not okay.
Well, can we, because I know you and I spoke about your story prior to doing this podcast.
Yeah.
For the people that are listening and that wouldn't know, to the moment leading up, can you maybe, if you feel comfortable going into that? Because I know you said that you noticed something on you.
Oh, yeah. Like the physical, you mean?
Sure. Because you said...
Because mentally I was just...
Yeah.
stressed and busy, so I really wasn't even thinking about it. I honestly wasn't worried about it mentally. I went in, got the scans, and went back to school. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But physically, yeah, I had a bump sitting on the right side of my chest, which I laid on the floor of my bedroom or part of my apartment, and my roommates were like, "Oh my gosh."
Was that prior to
the scans?
Colorado?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was
prior to the scans. So same semester so between September and December of 2021.
Okay. So this is after you came home?
Yeah.
And you
all this
that.
is after I came home from Colorado.
Wow.
I really started to notice it in October, and then obviously it got much bigger.
Yeah.
And that's what led to the scans and finally the diagnosis.
Sure.
But physically I was okay. Which isn't common. I mean, I felt like some nerve pain in my chest, which feels like tingling, I guess is the best way to describe it. And then I didn't notice fatigue, which is pretty common with cancers.
For somebody that might be going through a similar situation, what was going through your mind when you noticed that yourself on you, when you noticed the bump? Was it like initially, I have to go tell somebody, or was it something you internalized and didn't want to tell anybody?
No, I showed my mom when I first started to notice it, but again, I was so healthy and so like
I never had
feel any symptoms, and there was nothing in my family to be like, hey, you might have cancer. Like, there's nothing to say that. So I was just kind of like, this could just be a cyst. My mom was like, if it grows, it grows. And again, I was stressed. If you notice, like, if I had to say anything, if you notice something, just go get it checked. Like, just take the 10 minutes out of your day to set the appointment and the half hour to see the doctor, because you never know.
Do you think people don't do that out of maybe the unknown or the fear of finding out what it could be, or is it something that's not really important?
I think it depends on what age you're talking to.
Sure.
So if you're talking to pretty much 39 and down, which between the ages of 18 and 39, you're called an AYA, which is a youth cancer, basically, a youth cancer patient. And then underneath an 18 is obviously pediatric, your child. But in those age ranges, it's so uncommon for you to have cancer. I mean, pediatric is a little more like, oh gosh, like we noticed something. But, and kids typically present more symptoms. But, like that, the youth is just like a lot. I've seen it a lot. They just don't get acknowledged for it is the best way. Like they don't you're too young, you don't have cancer is like the common saying. Like it just or even vice versa, like they say it to themselves, I'm too young, I don't have cancer.
Okay.
So yeah. I just say get it checked because you never know. And best thing is it's nothing and you just took the appointment, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I didn't feel anything. I was fine. Physically, mentally, I was stressed, but that was school stuff. And then yeah, after my mom got me admitted, we spent 10 days at the hospital and I was diagnosed. I had a biopsy. I had a port put in, which is how they give you chemo. And I had another surgery. I just can't remember what it was.
And this is in the span of what time?
10 days.
10 days.
10 days, yeah. 10 days. I had 3 surgeries, which I wish I could
goodness.
remember what the third one was. I was on a lot of stuff.
Wow.
And then also got chemo on that last day.
Whoa. So your situation was so critical that within 10 days you had to get all this stuff
No,
done?
I just had a persistent mother.
Okay. Oh, I see.
It was pretty critical. I was growing at what they said an 80% rate, so it's pretty quick. But they gave me options, like things I could have left and got another PET scan, which is something I needed, which is, it basically shows like your cancer glowing inside your body after they give you a certain medicine. It's called radioactive glucose.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, yeah, that's
Like an
about
X-ray.
it.
Kind of.
More like
Where you can just
more like a
see.
CT scan or
Sure.
an MRI where they
Okay.
inject you with something. And what it does is it latches onto the cancers and it makes
Okay.
it glow. But it'll
Okay.
only glow to those things that are infectious.
Okay.
So yeah, and that was it. That was in those 10 days. I was, diagnosed correctly. Took a second, and then prepared and chemo and sent home. And then we started the treatment process from there, which was about 16 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
And while you're going through all of this, through those 10 days and to the moments leading up to the 10 days and to the moments of finding out that it is cancer, what is going through your mind? Like, what are you personally in your head going through? Are you emotionally and, like,
I have to
What-
say, I
yeah.
can't totally remember.
yeah.
I was given a lot of Ativan, which is anti-anxiety, which is also, it causes memory loss.
Okay.
And then obviously anesthesia quite a few times. I don't particularly remember freaking out at any point. I know my mom was afraid, but I just kind of remember taking it day by day and just whatever came at us was the next thing. Like, okay, you have cancer. Okay, what now? Like, what's the next thing? Because no one ever came to me and said, you have cancer and there's nothing we can do. No one has ever looked at me and said, there's nothing left. So everyone just came and like gave us a diagnosis and then they gave us a treatment plan. And for us, that was kind of the best thing you could do because it was like, okay, let's go. Let's get started. Because me and my mom especially would have just been like, what's next? Like,
Right.
we're not giving up. So
Right.
what's next? If they had come to us and been like, we're out of options on chemo, my mom would have been like, where's the trial? And so would I just, what's next? So I just remember taking it one day at a time. I think mentally the hardest thing was calling friends and family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having to tell other people that someone they loved was, not okay, was sick.
Yeah.
And
And you're personally making these phone calls.
yes, yeah. I wasn't gonna let anyone else make those phone calls. Not to my friends, at least.
Yeah.
My family kind of interacted with each other. I didn't call my aunts and stuff. I let my dad call his sisters and my mom call her family. But I called my own dad. I called my own brother. I have 2 other half siblings who my dad talked to. They're his kids. I'm not close with them, so he interacted with them. But my friends, I had to call quite a few friends at that point. I definitely lost a lot through the treatment process. And just growing apart, I moved away from places. And so I ended up calling a lot of people back then.
Can you? I think it's important to share the relationships that you have with your brother because you did tell me a little bit about that, and I think that might have played a pretty pivotal role.
Yeah. Cole is an interesting 21-year-old. We're really close in age, so we're 17 months apart. So growing up, my mom did it on purpose.
Your big sister.
I am big sister,
Okay.
but not really. I wasn't big for very long, and honestly, we just did everything together from like ages born to maybe 15 or 14.
Mm-hmm.
And that included like motocross. We both rode at one point. We just did everything together. I have videos of us both at gymnastics. We did everything together. And yeah, I don't know. When I was diagnosed, Cole had gone through a really like how do I explain? When he was 17, he had a really hard time in motocross. Motocross is a very mentally challenging sport. And I think any motocross rider can tell you that.
Yeah.
And he had gone through something pretty challenging, and he figured it out. He had already gotten it down, and he kind of knows how to react himself to things. So my dad's pretty emotional, and he was kind of like, and he was upset, but he was strong for me. And my mom is very like full charge, like, what's next? There was like, she was never going to cry while I was around. That was not going to happen.
Wow.
But Cole, I don't even really think cried at all, but not because he wasn't sad, but because he truly believed like I was going to beat it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, and it took a second for me to like hear that, for him to be like, what the heck, dude? Like, your own sister's sick and you're not crying.
Yeah.
And
you didn't understand at the moment.
well, no one had explained to me that that's what had happened. Like Cole, I hung up the phone. He was like, I'm sorry. Like, I hope you're okay. We're going to figure it out. And I hung up the phone, and he looked at my dad, and my dad didn't say whether he was upset or what, but my brother just looked at him and was like, she's going to beat it. That doesn't matter. And that was kind of all I needed. I mean, knowing that from Cole was like, all right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't know why I'm questioning.
No, that's absolutely extremely powerful, because I think there's times in life where life can get very dark and it can get very challenging, and sometimes your own belief is not what gets you through those times. Sometimes you have to borrow somebody else's belief in yourself in order for that to fire you up. So the fact that your brother was that person that was without a question, you could look him in the eye and be like, yeah, there's nothing to worry about. It's almost it's very I'm sure it's very relieving to know that somebody's got your back like that, and that somebody just believes that more than you do.
Yeah. We were talking. I was at a summit on last Wednesday for pediatric oncologists. So I work with a foundation called National Pediatric Cancer Foundation. They're really amazing.
Okay.
They're national, but they're based. Their offices are here in Tampa, and they raise a lot of money for pediatric cancers. And there's other foundations that do it, but not like this company. I mean, it was founded by two moms whose daughters had cancer, and I think both of them survived.
Wow.
But these moms have created what they hope to one day be in an international company. They want it to go worldwide. So they really did create a wonderful foundation, but they actually fund these doctors, like directly know the doctors that they're funding, and they see the research that they're funding. And that's what this summit was these doctors coming together.
Yeah.
And talking about the new research coming up, talking about what research they're getting rid of, just all these things that are working and aren't working. And then they all go to dinner. And I got to go to dinner with them, and I got to listen in on the summit. But because I'm a pre-med student, I want to go to medical school. I want to be a surgeon. And
that changed after, for people that don't know.
That was marketing to surgery.
After you had your...
Yes, that was the big change. That was the big realization, was I could do medicine.
Yeah, because you wanted to make an impact with what you were going through? Was that... Yeah, did you want to do, go into surgery after you found out you had cancer, or was it before?
I had the confidence to go into medicine in general after I was diagnosed the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these doctors were getting together. We were talking about med school applications, and it made me think about my college application, my essay you have to write. And the reason I brought it up is because it was actually about my brother. I feel like when you have younger siblings, you always talk about being the parent and being the older one. But what I got to talk about was how I actually look up to my little brother.
Wow.
He's homeschooled himself. My parents took him out of public school when he was halfway through 8th grade. So, I mean, when you hit halfway through 8th grade, it's pretty hard to teach your kid. I mean, high school is a pretty intense time. I don't think my parents helped me on most of my schoolwork. They just couldn't. And so Cole taught him. He was, he had an online program, but he did it himself. Like, he figured it all out himself. He was not only doing that, but he was a full-time athlete. He was training every day. So for a good portion of like our, 16 to probably 18, Cole was waking up, doing school, working out, going to ride for 3+ hours a day, doing school again, and then going to bed. And it was just a daily thing for him.
Wow.
And at some point the mental toll took on, and then he took the mental thing on too. And it was just impressive. And like I said, I mean, Cole was instantly like, she'll beat it. So I look up to Cole. I really do, which is interesting because he's, again, my little brother, but I do. So that's why I brought it up, is because my little brother is someone I definitely look up to.
100%. I mean, how important is it for people to have somebody like that in their life? Yeah,
and I hope we go both ways, because he is a good kid. He's
100%. And the cool thing about that is that not only does it inspire you to show up and be better and be stronger when you have a role model like that, but it also, inspires you to show up for other people in the same manner.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this positive energy just keeps on giving, and it fills you up, and then you can give it to somebody else, and you can be there for people when they're down, and and you can give them the same kind of belief.
Yeah, it doesn't even it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, the essay was, who do you look up to the most, and it was instantly, I could not think of anybody else but Cole.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah, I do want to ask you about the foundation. The foundation.
Talk about a couple, actually.
Yeah. So these are doctors. So the foundation was founded by these two women.
Yep.
Right? That both had cancer? Two daughters?
No, they're young daughters. They had pediatric cancer.
Okay. And they founded the foundation. Yes. And basically, the money that they raised, they invested into doctors that they... So talk about how important that is for them to like...
What's genuinely important about this is they're investing into research.
Okay.
A lot of foundations, which, don't get me wrong, are amazing and are good, but we have enough foundations handing out teddy bears. We have enough foundations, giving the kids dreams and giving their wishes, and they're amazing things for the kids. But wouldn't it be better if the kid didn't have to go through that intense treatment? Wouldn't it be better that we had a cure? So really, this foundation is incredible, because what they're doing is they're taking this, $4 million they raise every year, and they're giving it. I mean, at the summit, they were just like, take the money. Like, we want you to have the money. Right. Find research so we can give you the money. Like, wow. They want to give away this money to people who are going to find new medicines. Yeah. So it's incredible.
Yeah, no, so other people don't have to go through what they've experienced, or what other kids don't have to.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, kids are resilient, so they get some pretty intense chemos. Their bodies can kind of take it, but most of the time, they end up with, I think it's like 1 in 45 kids who have chemo get another issue down the line. Which can be extreme. It can be a major heart issue. It can be a major lung issue most of the time. And a lot of times these kids' treatments aren't 16 months, aren't 8 months, aren't, sometimes I've heard 3-month treatments. These are 4-year treatments for these kids. Yeah. Leukemia is a minimum of 2, and leukemia and brain cancers are the most common in kids. So yeah, this foundation is incredible. I'm so glad I found them. I intern with them now. What's
the name, so people can...
It's NPCF, National Pediatric Cancer Foundation.
Okay, and we'll put that in the description. I'll make sure I'll put that in there, so people can look it up.
They're amazing. I really do love all the people. The office is like 10 people, really great people. Love them. What they do is they put on fashion shows. One of their fundraising events is a fashion show that they do like nationwide. They just had one in Atlanta this past weekend.
Oh, wow.
They'll have one in Dallas later this year. They have one. Most of them are here. They have one at the Raymond James, which is one of their biggest.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. Local?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. St. Pete is coming up, and Sarasota is coming up. But yeah, they put on these fashion shows that the kids actually walk in. So not only is this a fundraising event, but these kids are getting something like a memory that's 100%. Incredible.
They get to participate.
Yeah, they walk in clothes donated by Dillard's. Most of the time it's Dillard's. Wow. And then they also do a second walk where they dress like whatever they want to be when they grow up, right?
Wow.
So you have chefs, and you have I've seen doctors, I've seen
Wow.
vets,
Wow.
I've seen some
And
really weird ones.
are these
A train.
like
One kid wanted to be a train.
Wow. I mean, hey, dream big.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Are these kids that are 10 under, or are these, what's
These
the age
are
range?
18 and under.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And so when you're participating and you're seeing this, how does that make you feel as somebody that
I
has
always
gone?
work
Yeah.
directly with the kids.
Okay.
So it's amazing.
Is it?
I
Yeah.
mean, these kids have been through something that you couldn't wish on your worst enemy. Like it's an awful, horrible thing that they have to go through, and they don't even know they're going through it half the time. They're just like, okay, showing up.
Yeah.
So I mean, just to see, no one smiles bigger than they do at these events. Nobody.
Wow.
So it's incredible to see like everything they've been through and how much further they have to go.
Yeah, and
How-
the perseverance is what it sounds like for them to be going through something so heavy.
Yeah.
It's incredible to hear how, how their perseverance and how they can still
They
smile
just-
at life and have a good time, have fun, enjoy themselves.
Yeah. I mean, doctors say it in a physical context
Mm-hmm.
that kids are resilient. What they mean is their bodies can bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you break a bone, you want the kid to just
Yeah,
heal. But I mean, you can see it in their mental state most of the time.
I was gonna
too.
say, does it?
Yeah, I mean, some of them are fragile, but most of the time
Mm.
they're just so resilient. They're just so tough. I mean, they are so happy to just do the next thing. Half the time, going to school makes them happy, which is an incredible thing because I know plenty of kids who hate school.
Right, right.
And they're so happy to just be there. So, yeah, it made me appreciate everything that I have a lot more. Not just me having cancer, but watching these
Sure,
kids.
sure.
Yeah.
How they're handling it and how they're
Yeah,
kind
just-
of not embracing it, but how they're just, I guess, living life in a way.
yeah, they're just moving on.
Yeah.
Like they're just going on.
Yeah.
They're doing what they want to do,
Yeah.
and they're taking it one stride at a time.
Well, let's go into that, because I think a lot of times when people are going through something tragic in life, you can kind of fall into the victim mentality of blaming what happened to you in life. So maybe, I don't know, is that something that you experienced going through cancer? Was it something that you maybe that was difficult for you to accept when you found out that you had cancer?
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying. Like, I mean, again, with the kids, they don't even know, so
Right.
it's hard to attest to what a child would have to say or see. But for me, as a 21-year-old, it wasn't easy. I mean, I think sometimes, like, mentally for kids who are 18, 19, 20, all the way into 39, it's mentally harder because you're like, okay, well, let me just put my whole life on pause because you
Yeah.
don't really have a choice. I mean, you
Right.
got to take care of yourself. So
Right.
you have to do that. And so let's go here. I was re-diagnosed 3 weeks ago. They found another spot in my lungs. I have to have surgery on Monday, actually.
Yeah.
Next Monday in a week. And when I found that out, I was sad for about a minute. And then I just got really angry. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I have all these dreams. I have all these things I want to do. And now it just feels right. I'm ready to go into medicine. I'm ready to work hard and be a part of life. And I'm just so tired. Like, cancer makes you fatigued. And
Yeah.
so, like, whenever that happens, it makes me mad. But I just don't let it keep me mad.
And let me say something that for you sharing this story, but also for me knowing you for the short period of time, you are an extremely resilient, strong person. And let me say this, that you guys don't know this, but this young lady is at the gym early in the morning almost every day. I'll be walking into the gym early, like at 7, and she's walking out. I've seen her a couple of times.
Yeah, I gotta say, when I was first diagnosed, I did not go to the gym. But that was some pretty intense chemo. So to
Yeah,
be
well,
fair,
yeah.
I could not go to the
Yeah,
gym.
I think you can check out.
I
on
did
that
some
one.
walking. That was bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when I was diagnosed that second time, I was, like I said, pissed. I was
Yeah.
so mad. I was like,
100%.
I'm finally feel like I'm doing something the right way. Like, I'm not just walking through life. I feel like I have purpose. And
That's powerful.
yeah, it's hard, and that's a hard thing to find, and
Yeah.
no one really. I still question it all the time, and
100%.
to every like
Yep.
18, 19, 20, 21,
I think,
22.
yeah.
Like, even my brother, who is in love with motocross, in love, like the kid loves it, and he's finally made it pro, and he's still like, oh, this isn't it forever. Like, but we both know, like, you kind of just got to take it one day at a time. You kind of just got to have plans for the future and find that balance of enjoying the moment you're in. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's an incredibly powerful lesson to learn early on, because I think a lot of times people do live in the future or they live in the past.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to really enjoy the moment because you're never guaranteed a tomorrow. As cliche as it sounds.
Acknowledge what you've been through.
Right.
Enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
And plan for the future.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just kind of how I take it. Like I said, I was pissed. I was so mad. I was so sad. And I felt those things. For me, feeling those things and crying for,
100%. I mean,
time helps.
Were diagnosed with this disease, and over this period of time, you've really went all in on yourself and in life, and you're really trying to move forward and be strong and make the best of it. And it seems like you were, almost taking 3 steps forward to take 5 steps back.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
and now that you were doing it, but that seems like what life was kind of throwing at you,
Yeah.
Like, here's this challenge, and now you've overcame, but here's a bigger challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the first time I was diagnosed, again, like, treatment was too intense. I attempted to stay in school, but that was just, like, it was all just not happening. Jeez. So, yeah,
you just don't stay down, huh?
No. But eventually you get too far down that you're like, okay, I'm inhibiting other people's, like, I'm getting in the way of other people.
Yeah.
Like, I called my professors probably weekly for extensions, and it was like, okay, it's time to just drop it.
Yeah.
So I took the time. I got my treatment. I did what I needed to do. And you know what? The cancer went away really fast that first time. So I was really lucky. I continued to eat healthy while I was doing it. I showed up for every appointment. I did what I was supposed to do, just like every cancer patient is going to tell you. Most of them, especially around our age, will tell you that we're doing what we have to. I got to find it. I saw something pretty spectacular in the way that it was described. About what it's like to be diagnosed with cancer or just like kind of have cancer, I guess is the best way to explain it. I hope I can find it. We'll see if I can.
No, please do.
Let's see. Someone wrote a poem and I wish I knew who it was. I probably won't find it. But,
does everybody that while you've been on this journey, does everybody handle it like that, or do other people just say, because it seems like you handled it, and like you said, you did everything you had to do. You did the right things to make yourself better. Did you see people that just kind of checked out, that were like, you know what, I'm beat?
I have personally, so, and what the thing described said was like, everyone tells you how tough and how strong you are through cancer, and they let you know that you're doing great and you're so strong. But you kind of, everyone, like, at least in my mind, every time someone said that, every time someone reminded me how strong I am and I got this, it's like, do I have any other choice? Like, that was, and I think it's a pretty common mentality of AYAs, which is the youth cancers, that it's like, I don't have a choice. Like,
right. The only way is forward.
I have to be strong. Like, there's no other choice. I have to go or I die. So, do I know people who checked out? I've never personally seen it. Cancer throws you into another group of all cancer patients, and a lot of times those are common mentality cancer patients. And for pediatrics, I've mostly met kids who have beat it in their childhood, and now they're my age. And I've had ones that continue to be affected by things that were caused by their cancers. So they no longer have cancer, but they got diseases from their treatment that are now just lifelong autoimmune disorders and things like that. So I've never personally met anyone who was just like, no, I give up. We're done. And that's very rare that you would even have that situation as a youth now, because our medicine is so amazing. As from 39 and under, it's very rare that you would have someone who was just like
checking out.
Well, not even just checking out, but even like given that recommendation. You know what I mean? Like, we have nothing left. That would be pretty intense, and typically it's a very, very last resort.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it from a few pediatrics, unfortunately, where their doctors have told their parents, like, we have nothing left. But again, like, that wasn't them checking out. That was
Right.
our lack of
Right.
evolution. Like, that's
Right.
us trying to fund that research
Right.
and get more,
Right.
so next time we don't have to tell
Yeah.
a kid we have nothing left for them.
Okay.
So, no, I've never met someone who personally, like, it was their own choice just to check out.
No, I was just asking because it seems like it's a very difficult thing to overcome, and I think in life, whether it's a situation like this or anything that's difficult, some people, don't find that perseverance to move forward, and sometimes it gets to a point where, like you said, sometimes you might just not believe in yourself, and it's hard to get yourself back up and take another step and take another step.
Yeah, I think cancer is a terrible example of that, because, like I said, the treatment is a live or die thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like being so stressed out that you want to lay in bed all day, and you just don't.
Yeah.
As a cancer patient, you do lay in bed all day.
Yeah.
Like, that's your choice.
Yeah,
You do that
right.
because, I mean, at some point you kind of have to. You'll pass out. You'll lower your blood, whatever it is. So mentally speaking, cancer is probably not the best, decision for that, because we don't really have a choice. We show up. We're strong because we have to be. But I think it because of that, it's strong. You have to be. I think, at least for me, it worked in everything in my life. So now when it comes to, being sad about, I don't know, being sad about the loss of a friend. Like, I've lost a lot of friends through this treatment because they just gave up on me, or because we hadn't been friends for very long when I was first diagnosed, and they just were like, this is a lot. Or because we just grew apart and whatever. And that used to upset me a lot. I hate losing people. I wasn't a fan of, like, getting it, letting people go in my life.
Right.
But I realized, and especially with cancer, that you kind of grow a resilience for yourself. It's not really about letting people go. It's about, being resilient and sure of who you are. It's like you said, you can't latch on to what other people think of you. People leaving is usually more about them than it is about you.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's difficult because a lot of times people internalize everybody else's thought or energy.
Yeah, I mean, especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Let's talk about how your mindset and your perspective changed on life.
After?
Yeah, after you found out.
I honestly, the first one was progressive, so I don't even notice what it was. People ask me that a lot. What was the biggest thing you learned from cancer? What did what changed? Really, for me, it was that confidence to go into the medicine field, which is a scary thing to go into when, or any field, when you don't have, like, a background or anyone to mentor you in that, or anyone to say, hey, you can do it, you got this, because no one in my family was in medicine.
Right.
So that was a big change for me. And then I think that the little things definitely changed. I was so set in the future before that. I was, like I said, I was so afraid about the marketing thing, and I was a freshman. And I was thinking so far ahead, and most kids were like, don't worry about it. It'll figure itself out. And I was just like, no, it's not. I need to figure it out now. And I think that changed a lot. So definitely, for me, I had a readjustment to live in the moment. I'm still, there's no getting rid of the plan for the future for me, but it definitely added the balance. I found the balance finally.
100%.
Be appreciative of what I've been through, plan for the future, and live in the moment, because I mean, if you don't, you're never going to be happy with where you're at.
No, 100%. I think living in the moment, the byproduct that is gratitude.
Yeah.
And you're very thankful because you realize, like we said, like, you're not always promised tomorrow.
No.
No matter who you are in life, I might get in a car and go to the grocery store, and somebody might hit me, and that's it. And I've had a death experience, where I was in a car accident, but I mean, that's where my life changed, where I realized I'm like, it wasn't so much that I would have, when it happened, I was 19, and it wasn't so much that when I went home and I reflected on that situation, I cried, and the thing that made me sad, it wasn't the fact that I didn't accomplish anything in life. It was just the fact that I'd never expressed myself to my full, to who I really was on the inside. Like, people didn't really know what I thought about them. I never communicated my love to the people that I truly loved, you know?
Oh yeah, I'm excruciatingly
Yeah.
honest now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is. I
Yeah.
mean, love, not even hate, but just like the way I feel like I'm being treated,
Yeah.
it's excruciatingly honest now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. And
it's
that
just
changed for you.
yeah, definitely. I feel like I was more of a suffer in silence, and I still kind of am. I definitely still am, but not when it comes to the people that I want to keep in my life.
Sure.
Not the people who are important in my
Sure.
life. So, best friends, they know what
Yeah.
everything they've done is meant to me, and they know that I'm here and that I love them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that, just every little thing they do, whatever it is, small, big, it's important, and they know.
Yeah.
I make sure of it.
How did the relationship with your, because we've talked about the relationship with everybody else, you and everybody else, family, friends. How did the relationship with yourself change? Because you went from,
I don't know that it has.
no?
No, I'm pretty hard on myself. I always have been. Wake up, go to the gym early.
Yeah. But were you doing that prior?
Mhm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always been really hard on myself. The gym, school.
Maybe my question is like, did you find a space where like you as you started taking care of yourself more? I don't know if that
No,
makes any sense.
no.
No.
I think physically I took care of myself really well.
Mm-hmm.
I ate right. I still do.
Mm-hmm.
I think about vitamins a little more now.
Mm-hmm.
They're really important. But things change a lot after cancer. There's a lot of vitamins they want you to take
Mm-hmm.
that it depends. It's a lot. That goes into a lot that I don't even understand. But physically, no. No, I don't take care of myself any better than I used to because it wasn't my fault.
Mm-hmm.
And that took a long time to even realize that it's not my fault. But I did figure that out within the year of being treated that, I didn't do anything wrong. I was doing everything okay. So physically, I take care of myself the same. Mentally, I try and appreciate the fact that I take care of myself really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I try and be a little nicer to myself, which is hard for me. Like I said, I'm really hard on myself.
Even now.
Yeah, and we talk about it a lot. Like my brother will tell me, Jamie, it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter. And it's not about what other people think.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's never been what other people think for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that I don't think that. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. I can't, do enough pull-ups. I can't I don't know. I'm not dressed the way I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not I'm 23 and I'm a junior as an undergrad, which is really uncommon, and I'm taking classes as a freshman, and that's like, okay, like it takes me a second to get over that stuff because, like I'm hard on myself, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It kind of just depends on which direction you fall. As someone who's hard on herself, you have to remember to like just love yourself a little extra.
Yeah.
But there's some people who need that like, okay, get on with it. Like, be a little harder on yourself here. So it kind of just depends.
There's got to be a
are.
balance somewhere.
Yeah. So I'm still learning and getting better at just being grateful for myself, like what I do,
Right. And I think that's where my question from before was kind of geared more towards is when you value time and you value your purpose and your why and your mission, you really start taking care of yourself. To me means like you love yourself and you're giving yourself the best quality of life, but at the same time it's like you also do the things that you don't want to do.
Yeah, well, what goes on up here is projected out here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm working on, is the fact that it's not two different things.
Right. It's the same world.
Yeah.
In a sense, right?
Or both are organized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Let's go into the rabbit hole of the purpose thing. Because you said that you felt after this whole journey that you felt like you finally found a purpose.
Yeah. Which was not the way it was before. That actually, I would love to talk about that because the way it was before was, I think, how a lot of kids feel. And a lot of times you're just doing life, and that's okay too. Which is really what you should be doing, because you never know what the next turn is going to take you. But for me, I was just constantly like, I don't know. I just never felt like something always felt off. Whatever it was. Like either I just felt like I was, my classes didn't feel I wasn't working as hard in my classes because I didn't feel like there was a point.
There were like it was aligned with maybe your heart in a way, right?
Yeah, like it just didn't feel like when I was in high school, my purpose was to go to college. So I was working so hard to do everything I could to get into the college I wanted to go to. I put my whole heart and soul into it. And growing up next to Cole, who again is great, but he's always had this purpose. Like he's always wanted to be a pro motocross rider. Like, he's always known what he wants to be and what he wants to do. And you have a plan, right? Like you have to have a good mentality. You have to work out and you have to ride and you have to get better. And that's just it. Like that's the goal every day. And when I hit college, it was like, what's the goal?
Right.
And I just kind of like my family was like, well, plan it out. Like, what's your goals? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, if I had one, this would not be an issue. I wouldn't be so upset. So yeah, after I was diagnosed, I just kind of felt like I had a background. I had a story to tell, and I had a reason to do. I think medicine was always going to be the right path. I just needed the confidence. Unfortunately, cancer took the confidence, but I needed that like kick almost to be like, it's that fire to just be like. I mean, I was treated next to pediatric patients. I was treated next to children. Like, they were literally in the beds next to me. And it just, I kind of disassociated from my own cancer and was like, this sucks. Like, I'm going to do this for these kids. You know what I mean? Like, I was so, like, determined
to... The purpose and the why was no longer just about you. It was about something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, and I met the people at the foundation, and it's just...
Yeah. There's a mission.
There's a mission. There's a reason. So my grades are great. And every day just kind of feels like every time I'm stressed or tired, it's like, okay, but what about those patients you're going to have in the future?
No, 100%.
What about the kids you're going to heal in the future? So it's like, I don't know. And I know a lot of people can't attest to that. So I get it. I get what that feels like to like just kind of be trying things, which is perfect. Cool, but just remember to keep trying things. That would be my suggestion because it shouldn't take cancer for you to find that purpose. And I don't think anyone should have to, go through anything that traumatic to find their purpose. But yeah, even Cole, he's the opposite. I mean, now that he's made it to where he wanted to be, he's now in that stage where it's like,
what's next?
Yeah, kind of. What's next? And that's kind of like the trying stage, which can be really exciting, and people have to appreciate the exciting part.
Yeah, I think there's layers to the actions that we take and the things that we do in life and the goals that we set. And I always tell people all the time, and I don't know if you've heard this expression that says, a strong enough why can bear anyhow, And I think a lot of times people have goals and aspirations that they don't think behind what comes after that, So a lot of times, let's say using college as an example, it's like, okay, I'm going to school, but once I get to that point, I'm not sure because I never thought about why I wanted to go to school or why I wanted to do this. And for you, it seems like you have that reason, and on the days that it's difficult to want to do the things that you have to do that are going to get you to that point, step by step, it's not easier because I don't think it ever gets easier, to do the things that are difficult, but it becomes more purposeful with every step that you take because you realize like, hey, I'm doing this for a bigger cause. I'm doing this for these kids that are going to need me, and they need me to be strong. And just like your brother was.
Yeah, it's fulfilling.
100%.
Yeah, everything becomes fulfilling. Yeah. Everything kind of feels right, which is a weird thing to say because you never know.
I think I don't know. I think I might have mentioned Jordan Peterson to you, but he's a I won't say psychologist, but psychotherapist, and he has all these great lectures. But one of his core messages is that is he always dissects and diagnoses these ideas and breaks them down, and he talks a lot about the meaning of life. Like, what is the meaning of life? What gives life meaning? And to him, working with so many patients throughout a decade and over a decade, he's realized that the meaning to life is bearing a responsibility, is bearing a cross that that is
yeah. I mean, a lot of people talk about being happy, right? You just want to find the happiness, right? What makes you happy. But I mean, I think what a lot of people have to realize is, at least for me, it's what makes me useful. What makes me useful to my future partner? What makes me useful to... And I heard someone else say this. I don't remember who, but What makes me useful to the world? What makes me useful to, and if the world isn't your concern, then what makes you useful to the right here, right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's what it was for me. I never felt useful back then. I didn't feel like I was fulfilling anything.
Yeah. Like you
Not
were just maybe living for yourself, and I think not for you, but I
Yeah,
think
not
some
even
people
for
get
myself, just like for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, because
Okay.
I didn't even feel like I was doing anything for me.
Yeah.
So I was just, trying to make good grades, which wasn't happening. And
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't in my heart, I didn't feel it. So, yeah, no, for me, it was what could make me useful to to my society, to where I
Yeah.
live, to the people around me, you know?
Right. 100%.
So, yeah, I think that might be something people have to look at too, not just how to make themselves happy. It's how do you make other people around you better too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very difficult to do though, because I think as human nature, we're just always just worried about ourselves first and foremost. A lot of the times, or a lot of people are.
Yeah, yeah. Which is, I mean, sometimes it takes the inside to
Mm-hmm.
project outside. Like you have to take someone. I can never remember the people I
Mm-hmm.
listen to on Instagram and stuff,
Sure.
but um, it was like I'm gonna take care of me for you, right?
Right.
So, and when you're in a
Right.
relationship
No.
or
100%.
wherever it is, if you're a doctor, take
Mm-hmm.
care of yourself for your patients.
Right.
Take care of yourself for your husband or your
Right.
wife. You know what I mean?
100%.
It's not about taking care of them, it's taking care about you for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I really
Mm-hmm.
like that because I think that's super important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to build your strength to be able to, uplift others and help them as well.
Yeah, yeah. Again, the purpose thing is just my personal feelings. I feel like I have an idea in my head and there's no taking it down now.
Yeah.
And I think it takes different points in people's life to find that. And unfortunately for me, it took cancer, but hopefully for the
Well,
next
I
person.
think those are the most powerful moments in life, is when you're going through a period of time in life where it's tragic and there's darkness, and how, like, like that saying, like, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I think the most beautiful light is found in the darkest places, and I think it's very difficult as an individual to take full responsibility of where you are in life. And because a lot of times as a human being, you have every right to be mad and be upset for a situation that maybe was unexpected that happened to you. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, what is this going to do for me moving forward? And I think it's very difficult to take that responsibility, and it's very honorable for people that do take that responsibility and that say, "Hey, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm going to find light." 'Cause you have to find the meaning in the shit that you go through in life, and if you don't, it's
Yeah, but I
it's
had
very
a
difficult to
friend. What
endure.
I'm thinking of is who I was before that. Like if I had never had cancer, if someone had never diagnosed me, like if I had never been diagnosed, if I was still at FSU just moseying on through that marketing degree and and someone said to me once, like, it was an old friend, and she said, well, what if you don't have a story? Right? Because everyone was like, well, what's your story about my cancer? And I'm like, well, okay. Yeah, I can tell you that. Like, that is a story. I have that story. But she said, well, what if you don't have a story? Because she grew up, well off. Her
Sure.
family had enough money. She had
Okay.
everything she could possibly want. She had loving parents. Both of them are still together. She had good siblings. She was healthy. She, made it through school. She's in, in another set of schools. She's in,
She had a great upbringing.
she had a fantastic upbringing.
Right.
She had everything she could possibly want.
Right.
So she didn't
Sure.
feel like she had struggles.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like she was like, well,
100%.
what if I don't have a story? And I was sitting there thinking like, well, I get that because that was kind of how I felt. Like I totally got that. Because I felt like I didn't have a struggle. I didn't have anything that would say like that defined me. I didn't have anything to say like, yeah, this is who I am and this is what I've been
Right.
through.
Right. That define your character through a difficult situation.
Yeah. But I looked at her and I was like, well, everyone has a story.
Yeah.
And she didn't get it. But to me, like looking on the outside, she had a lot of struggles like learning, and she worked her butt off to learn. Like she had to do triple the amount of work in school that other kids had to do because she had, learning disabilities. And you wouldn't know it. She was in normal classes. So, I mean, that was one thing off the bat. And then I mean, that was the first thing I thought of.
Yeah.
And if I thought of a few more, I'm sure I could.
Yeah.
But I just, sometimes you have to like look outwards to look in. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Is what I was getting at. And I totally get that feeling of like not having a story. Because we talk a lot about all the struggles that people go through and like not coming out on the other side, or even making something of it, or not even letting it get to you. But what if you don't feel like you have a story? What if you just kind of feel lost? You know what I mean? Like you didn't have a defining moment. Like you're not like, okay, well, I'm not latched on to anything. And I get that feeling too. So, I mean, I still wouldn't know what I would be doing or how I would be feeling if I was, not fulfilled with that purpose.
Yeah. What do you make of that looking back at it now? Like, are you like everything happens for a reason?
Yeah. The cancer was definitely instantly almost was like, all right, everything really does happen for a reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes me sad for that version of me that was before she was diagnosed with cancer, almost even. I mean,
Also,
yeah, a little bit. I mean,
in what way does it make you sad?
just in the fact that I like if that had never happened to me, I wouldn't know where I'd be or what I'd be doing or if I'd be happy at all. So, like I said, unfortunately, it took cancer for me to realize that, and I hope it doesn't take other people cancer to realize, or something
Sure.
that traumatic.
100%. I think that message in itself is something that needs to be shared with people, because I think you're right. I think a lot of times people wait for a rock bottom or wait for something. I think we wait for that because that's the only time people really ever, most of the time, decide to change after you have all these years of you just being who you are and having all these patterns ingrained in behaviors. I think it is. It takes a lot of times it takes something tragic, but it doesn't always have to, right?
Yeah. No, I'm honestly just curious. Like, I don't know who that girl would have been because, yeah, she was so unhappy and she didn't have any like purpose in her life and she didn't really know what she was doing. And
What would you say to that girl now?
take it one day at a time. It'll all happen for a reason, I think, because if I hadn't been diagnosed, I'm sure it would have come along. It just might have, it might have been a different timeline. It might have been a different point in my life. It might have taken longer. And I think I would have been okay. No matter what it was, I would have figured it out. But I don't think I would be almost 23 and as fulfilled as I feel now, as purposeful as I feel now, as, determined as I feel now. So, yeah, I would just tell her to take it one day at a time and that, whatever it is you're doing, be determined and the purpose will come.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. For somebody that might be going through a situation that you're going through, what's something that you would advise them? Let's take it one step, forward. Like, let's say there's somebody in your situation, but maybe doesn't have the great amount of support that you've had, as far as people, maybe, because I think a lot of times people are in situations like that.
If it's cancer, they have to know right away that they've been diagnosed with something that's going to force them into a community that's incredible. I mean, I was lucky enough to be born into a credible community. My friends and family were intensely amazing. I wouldn't have done it without them. I was more worried about them, I think, than they realized. But
And you did say, sorry to interrupt,
Go
you
for
did
it.
say something the day that we spoke, that a lot of times in that position, people do feel worse for the people around them than they do for themselves. I don't know if that's something that you.
I don't know if people in general do, but I did.
Yeah.
I did. I felt more afraid for them than I ever felt for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it were to go the wrong way and it didn't, none of my treatments did work, and if I, were to die, I wouldn't be leaving. I'd be leaving, not them. So they would be the ones left, with these pieces to pick back up from other people or from themselves. So yeah, I was more worried about, just making sure I spent time with them. So I spend a lot of time with my family, even now that I'm healthier, sort of. Again, I try and spend a lot of time with the 3 friends I have and the family I have. So, and then that road trip that we just took. I saw.
And we didn't go into that, but
Yeah, we spent 6 weeks on the road basically, and it was incredible. But I saw people. I wasn't just with the one girl all week. Or for 6 weeks. I stopped in every place I knew someone and made sure I saw them. because it's just like I said, you never know. It could have came back, and unfortunately, it did. But I wanted to see them because I don't get to see people who live in California. So it was incredible. But
what's the impact that you want to have
on the world or on my friends and family? That's my big
I guess
scale.
let's do the world. Let's go big.
On the world,
Yeah.
I want to change it. I really do. I want to do something in medicine in that area. I'm a biomedical anthropology major, and we're learning a lot about simplified. We're learning about other medicines from in other countries, and they're almost medicinal rather than Western medicine, like the biomedical aspects. How they're bringing that actually into Western medicine. So the acupuncture, the food is medicine theories that we're seeing a lot on Instagram is actually anthropology. A lot of the times pulling that in because it is important. And as much as biomedical medicine saves lives, I totally agree with that.
Right.
I think those other medicines are really gonna hopefully
move everything forward a little bit.
We'll hopefully start that preventative medicine rather than curing medicine.
Sure.
So I want to be part of that movement. I want to be part of taking down the FDA or something like that. We have a lot of issues with our pharmaceuticals and
100%. Oh yeah, I mean that's a whole rabbit hole in its own.
Yeah, that's a big rabbit hole.
Oh god,
that you could go
and that's something I did want to ask you because when you were talking about the foundation, I know these people are investing their money into these doctors that they personally know and do their research on. And I guess my question there is there a culture of doctors that just or just hospitals that just don't care about and just like you're just another patient?
Oh, are there cultures of them? Yes. Are they funding them? No. Okay. I haven't seen any because you have to again like these are funds to go towards FDA approved trials.
Right.
And what's called COG, which is Child Oncology Group. So these are funded trials through like you can't give a child something that's not funded through FDA.
Right.
You have to go through protocols.
Yeah.
you can't do human trials without those things.
Yeah.
So no, not right now. But there are a community of people, especially, and some doctors who even like I'm on a set of vitamins that this doctor really believes will keep cancers away, and he does other things that I got in contact with him after I went into remission. So for me, it was keeping it away, which is a whole nother story. Because I didn't start the vitamins when I was supposed to. But his theory is, goes into even when you were previously diagnosed, and he believes in the vitamins. He believes in certain dieting. He believes in even time released chemo, which is a new thing. I didn't go into that with him, but yeah. So there is a big culture of doctors who believe in these other things. Yeah. And acupuncture, I was actually recommended from my doctors to do acupuncture for side effects.
Yeah. So because I think there is a big misconception or a big, thing in the medical world where some people believe that it's just, that it's just money and doctor, like nurses, doctors don't care. It's just, you're just another patient.
I don't think they're totally wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think they're totally right. I wouldn't have survived without chemo, which is one of the greatest things we've ever done. I mean, and you'll hear that a lot from cancer patients too. They'll tell you like, okay, if anyone tells me to be vegan one more time or whatever it is, eat a certain way, or because sugar's not good for anybody, but it's really not good for cancers. But it's also not what causes cancers in kids, in our age. And half the time like my cancer specifically wasn't caused by anything like that. So I've seen it a lot. I've heard it a lot. If you listen to everyone who told you what would cause your cancer or give you cancer, you'd never eat in your life.
You never eat anything,
right? Yeah. So, it just depends on once you go in. There is a community of them, and I believe in a lot of it. But I also just believe in taking care of your body.
Right.
We've looked into exercise is a huge thing with cancers, with cardio problems, which the number one deaths in at least America are from heart problems.
Okay.
Which in the American Heart Association lists, exercise is one of their biggest preventatives. So more of us exercise, even just walking, 30 minutes a day.
100%.
Yeah.
Being out in the sun, being just active,
purposeful
getting your body.
Activity for 30 minutes a day will lower your risk of death by a lot.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of people, especially in today's age where everything's very comfortable, don't find that time to really challenge ourselves physically. And then on top of that, the culture of the foods that we eat.
Yeah.
I think it all adds up.
Yeah, the FDA and that is a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That would take forever.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
What is your mindset before we start wrapping up? What's your mindset going into round 2 and beating this thing? Are you just like, just let's get it over with?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just not really, because you seem to me like you're not the type of person to add a lot of emotion to what you're going through. You're just like, it sucks. Let's get it done.
I mean, I felt what I felt. They called me and they were like, we found something, and I cried. It was more of a cry of like anger. I'm really angry. Frustration, very frustrated, because I was just so confident it was never coming back.
Right.
So yeah, it was a cry of frustration. I was sitting at a table with my friend, planning, applying to jobs, and they called me and I was like, this is a joke, right? And yeah, so mindset going into next week and Monday is fantastic. I'm just cut it out. Let's go.
Yeah.
Because right now that's all it is. They're just going to do surgery. There's no chemo, no radiation right now. So that really brought my spirits up too.
Yeah.
But I feel determined. I mean, even after that first cry, and then, because they were like, it could have been nothing. We got to get another scan. I got another scan, and they called me and they officially told me. But the second time they told me, I was like, okay, what now? And yeah. So you feel it, and I moved on.
Yeah.
I feel it, and I just was ready for the next step, one day at a time. I took it one day at a time. So yeah, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
You got this. Absolutely.
Pretty much.
How can people support your cause or support the foundation? Support you in any kind of way? Is there anything on that you'd like to share?
One day I hope to, start my own foundation. I'm still learning from the ones I'm interning with. We're starting one on the USF campus that's associated with the American Cancer Society, me and a few other kids. But the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation. Look them up. It's one Instagram page. Everything should be orange and yellow. Yeah,
and we'll put that the @ handles on in the bio.
You can donate to them. If you have an event near you, you can volunteer if you can't donate. You can also go to those events, and that fundraising money, that the tickets that you buy go to the research that they do. So then those events are a whole lot of fun. So
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any of that, free food, all that. So it's a good time.
Yeah.
Any of those. See it. Yeah. Just look up the foundation and see what you can give to them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'll definitely have to link up with you on that, because that sounds like a great time. As far as volunteering.
Yeah.
I think that'd be amazing. That'd be very, very cool to do.
Yeah, I'll give you the dates of
that. Yeah, please. No, for sure. Is there something coming? Is there something happening soon?
Yeah, end of September and early October are the next ones. So I think September 29th is St. Pete and October 6th is Sarasota, actually.
Okay, that's perfect. That's amazing. No, but let me know for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Jamie, I want to thank you for doing this with me. Thank you for sharing your story, and I definitely, like I said in that note when I met you at the coffee shop.
Which I still have.
Yeah, so I don't know if we finished that story. I left Jamie a note. I was eavesdropping on our conversation, and I pretty much just said something along the lines of, thank you for your inspiration. You inspired me that day that I was listening to you, because I was going through something in my own head that I was dealing with. And then I'm listening to you as you're taking all these college classes. And on top of that, when you said you're dealing with cancer, I was like, wow, like my problem became minuscule. And I think your perspective is so incredibly powerful. And it definitely, like I said, it gave me motivation and it gave me gratitude, because I think a lot of times when you're going through something difficult in life, it's very easy to get down on yourself, down in the dumps. And even though, like I said, you do have that, you are, what's the word? You do have that right to feel that way, but it's really what you do. Yeah. And it's what you do in those situations that really defines you as a person. And thank you for being who you are. And let's stay in touch. And I wish you the best dealing with everything moving forward. And I know you're gonna beat this. And I still think you should share your story even more on your platform. So
yeah. I'm hoping to get, at least if I share mine, hopefully I can help some other kids along the way.
100%. And that's really the whole purpose of what we're doing. Even here, it's just to share your story and make an impact, and spread your story and awareness of cancer. But not only that, I think it goes beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, everyone's actually been through something, whether they think it or not.
Right,
So
right. Everybody has a story.
Appreciate where you are, appreciate what you've been through, and get ready for the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jamie, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks
Appreciate
for having
it.
me.
Of course.